We're up on Crowley's Ridge at Lake Frierson here today to start the program. Ed Dickey, the head tree doctor, is going to give us some tips on how to take care of our trees. But before we do that, let's let him tell us a little bit about what he does to take care of our trees. It's all coming up right now on Tree Doctors.
You know, great strides have been made in the chemical community as the technology come available now where you don't need to clumber some capsules to tree, and we can put actually 9 or 10 different products at one time in a tree. You can see it boiling out from around the base of that as I'm injecting this into the soil ball. Amino acids, different miticides, insecticides. We can choose what we want to treat for, and we get a long residual from this. So you get a year's worth of good or longer out of our injection when we do a tree. An actual moat of chemicals put around your tree, and it's all moisture activated. So as the weather hits it or the rain, it supercharges it again and carries through the tree. So to get rid of your unwanted insects or to revive a tree to put new life in it, you know, that's what we do. We put the zap back in the sap. We give new life to old trees. That's what we do. We're the tree doctors. Dickey Tree Service in your yellow pages under trees.
It's time to go out in the field with the head tree doctor of Dickey Tree Service, Ed Dickey, right now on Tree Doctors.
We're right outside the Finch community, and this tree just here 3 or 4 months ago got hit with the lightning. Took a big strike, and you can see where it damaged it. And the property owner here had me treat it. They called me within 60 days after it got hit, and normally your insurance company will reimburse you for when you get them treated, when they can be saved like this. And of course we give a year guarantee with it. But this old tree took a bad lick, and we're still able to treat it and save it and keep it going on. So just because your tree gets hit by lightning doesn't mean you got to cut it down. We'll look at it, won't cost you anything, and if we can help it, we'll let you know and give you a price that you can live with and take care of that tree. We also can install a lightning arrestor in your old valuable trees that keeps this from ever happening. It's a shame when it does happen, but you can actually keep it from happening by having us put a lightning arrestor in. And it's something to think about if you do have some old, big trees that you want to keep. I'm here in Jonesboro at the home of Ann Marshall. And Miss Marshall, there's every one of these trees just about got your fingerprints on them at some point in time, don't they? Won't you tell our viewers a little bit about this willow tree behind us?
Okay, the willow tree, we had one in the corner of the yard down here by the fence, and it rotted and died, and I broke a branch off of it when they cut it down and planted it, and that's the tree.
How long ago was that?
Oh, Lord, 35 or 40 years ago.
Yes, ma'am. Reason I'm starting with a willow tree, Miss Marshall had me treat this tree back 3 or 4 months ago when I treated her oaks, and it's coming on around, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, lots better. It would have died.
Yes, ma'am, it was on the verge of it, and now you've got a whole yard full of, it's a beautiful yard here for different kind of trees, and you planted the biggest part of these, ain't you?
Mm-hmm. Willow trees, oak, this tree behind us here, birch. Yes, let's see. We had a crabapple and it died, but there's just a bunch of things around here that we've had that died and came back.
Yes, ma'am. You've got some big old oak trees here I treated, and there's some uniqueness about it, and we'll just, if you don't care, we'll move on over and take it up there.
Okay.
We moved around here to one of these big oak trees that Miss Marshall's got, and tell me a little something about this oak tree, Miss Marshall.
Okay, that oak tree was planted when the house was built, and that's about 50 years ago, or longer than that maybe, but it's done fine up until it got real sick with wood borers and whatever else you said, and now it's doing better, lots better.
Yes, ma'am, but that shows our viewers how big a tree can get in roughly 50 years. You know, that's a good sized tree. You just give it a little care, a little water. They don't really need much maintenance, do they?
No, they don't.
She's got the mate to it over here. We'll go to here a little bit later, but I know our viewers can see that unique face you got on that tree. Each one of these trees got a personality, don't they, Miss Marshall?
No, yeah.
I notice you use, you're close here to the road, and you take advantage of your greenery for a sound buffer, don't you?
Right. And boy, does it help some privacy too.
Oh, yes, ma'am. And a lot of people forget that, but just any little bushes and stuff strode along there and will give you privacy, plus will buffer that sound and break that wind a little, won't it?
Yes. And I love trees. I really do. I hate to lose one.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you've took good care of these, and we'll roll around here and show our viewers a few more unusual ones you got.
Okay.
Miss Marshall, this is that other big oak I was telling our viewers about. Tell me a little bit something about it.
It's about 50 years old or more old, and it's been a really good sturdy tree up until it had to be treated. Now it's doing all right again.
Yes, ma'am, and it just grew like I said before, that a tree can get big and lives hundreds of years, especially the oak trees. But there's some of these pines and other ones here behind us here. You planted those, didn't you?
Uh-huh.
And you've got several different types. I noticed is that a yellow mulberry back there I'm looking at?
Right, back here, uh-huh.
Yes, ma'am. That's turned out to be a good tree for you, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And you've got just about you've got redwoods, your dogwood. She's got just about every kind of tree you can think of here in this yard. And it's just a yard you can be proud of, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's almost an acre.
Yes, ma'am. An acre of tree. That's a lot of trees.
Mm-hmm.
And who does the maintenance here in your yard quite a bit?
My nephew, Randy.
Well,
He's good. He really is.
yes, ma'am. Well, we're going to try to get him on tape here in a minute, if he'll let us. Here with Miss Marshall, here's Randy Marshall. And Miss Marshall, tell me that you'd been doing maintenance on this yard for how long, Randy?
About 2.5, 3 years. It's a lot of yard.
Oh, yeah, I bet it is. Over an acre. And when I was here treating the trees, I commented on where you had aerated some of these thick privet hedges and stuff.
Oh, yeah, you got to keep the yard down, plus for the highway, so you see going in and out of the driveway.
Right. But overall, this yard it's pretty well kept, and you can enjoy the yard pretty good, can't you?
Oh, yes, sir, you sure can. I keep the leaves right and keep it all pruned back where it looks real nice.
Right. Well, you're certainly doing a good job, and I was telling Miss Marshall, this is a gorgeous yard, and you don't even know that this place is here unless you're coming to it because of all the vegetation. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah, she'll pass it real quick.
I was just about done here at Ann Marshall's here in Jonesboro, and before we put the camera up, I noticed all these birdhouses you got, Miss Marshall, all over the yard on this 1 acre. You're sure a bird lover, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, we feed them all summer and winter.
Yes, ma'am, and the vegetation you have here in the pretty trees, I bet it's just a haven for the birds all year long.
It is, especially that magnolia around there. They love to stay in it.
Oh, yeah, it keeps the winter cold off of them, and I just wanted to mention that to the viewers because, if you want birds, you can have birds, and it's easily done, isn't it?
Mm-hmm, it sure is. Just have them habitat and some food.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to thank you for talking about your trees.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm at the home of Kenneth and Carrie Gully here in Jonesboro, and they got some young magnolias I treated a little over a year and a half ago for them. And you can really tell the greenness of the leaves. It's super rich green, and really makes the tree look good. That's because one of the products that we use in the soil drench method is our Nutri-Treat. We've had this product for over 20 years, and it's protected at the Patent and Trademark Office. We own this. It was developed by us. But that's just one of the 9 products that goes into putting a zap back in your tree's sap. And right here with these magnolias, you can see what a difference it did make. It really did. Magnolias respond very favorably to the treatment, and you don't have to look far to see why. And part of the reason is our Nutri-Treat. A lot of people will tell you that they can do what we do, but we're the only ones that can use this product. We own it, it's ours, and they can't get it. And that's just one of the products in the 9 things that goes in there. So don't believe that when they tell you that they can do what we do, because they can't. but what we do pays off. Give us a call. You'll be glad you did. We're out here north of Jonesboro off of 141, close to Lake Frierson Park, State Park, and here with me is Adrian Threadgill. And Mr. Threadgill, why don't you tell the viewers what went on with this trees in years past?
Oh, about 5 or 6 years ago, lightning hit the tree, and I didn't do anything to try to repair it at that time, and just kind of let it go, and noticed that later on it started to rot and started losing some branches. So I asked George Siebert down at Mid-South Nursery what I might do to repair it, and he suggested putting concrete in. And we put some galvanized nails in, and then got Quickcrete and tried to mold it up the tree till we run out of Quickcrete or ladder. And I ran into you one day down at Dave's Sales and Service and was talking to you about it after that I didn't finish the job, what I might could do, and you suggested putting foam up the tree, that would help. But I think you've informed me since then that really that was a little bit too big of a job for foam all the way up there.
Right, it could fix up what you had already started, but up there we still got a big opening there. And won't you tell about what went on here a couple of weeks ago and when you called me?
Well, I've noticed that I'm still losing limbs here, and I knew that I probably had a borer problem, so I called you and you came out and looked at it and said, yes, I most definitely had a borer problem. And you've treated it, and supposedly that's supposed to kill the borers out, and hopefully we won't have a big wind come through and blow it down now.
Right. Like I told Mr. Threadgill, this was not so much the way it was put in as a strength factor. This was more of a cosmetic thing because they had left the opening at the top where the concrete stopped, and so water gets behind it. And when water got behind it, of course, it froze and busted, and he had a bunch of cracks here that I'm attempted to fix for him. But I did treat the tree for the borers. And how many years has it been since you put that concrete in there?
It's been about 3 years, 2.5 to 3.
Right, it had some cracks in it big as your finger, and this is what you're seeing here is actually a mortar, caulk mortar that you use if you got a crack in your foundation of your house that I shot in there and spread, and this is a expandable foam that's going around the edge. And to make that look cosmetically correct here in a few days, if he wants to, he can either spray that with a camouflage paint or just take a pocket knife and it cuts real quick, or either that or a hacksaw blade. But normally it just changes colors to the tree, and most people don't even have to mess with it. But this here's the most important, getting this concrete where it has structural soundness in there. But I informed Adrian that it really needs to correctly be done, fill from the top down, and which we didn't discuss that day at the saw shop, did we?
No, we did not.
And his is a big, it's 30 foot up to the top of that. So he got the bottom little part, and it's very hard to keep moisture from easing and cascading behind that concrete as time goes on. And he's going to have to watch this in years to come to make sure that doesn't expose itself again from critters eating that foam. And that's the one drawback on using the foam is squirrels like it and birds peck it, and pretty soon it becomes weak. And sometimes mice eat it. But it looks a little different than it did the other day, doesn't it, Adrian?
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Looks a lot different. Thanks for pointing that out to me. Maybe it'll save the tree.
Oh, I know it will. And what business are you in?
I'm in commercial insurance. I work for Federated Mutual Insurance Company.
Okay. How long you been doing that?
Oh, about 30 years.
That's a good while. Okay. All right. Well, maybe in the future we'll check back with you, and we'll just see how good this works on this, and I think you're going to be proud of what we did.
Okay, great. Hope so.
You know, every once in a while I run across a tree like this. This is a hickory. Been here a good while, and you're probably thinking I'm going to talk about the coming apart here and needing a rod through it. Well, I'm not. This tree needs to be cut down. It's a hazard. What has happened over the years, it's developed a big cavity here. One side of it is trying to break away from the other. Plus we got the mushrooms all on the side here that's coming out showing dead wood. So there's not too much holding power left on this one side. And if we get up a little further, this little feeder that they got attached is actually holding these two trees together as we speak. If you cut that, one little wind come along, that's going to fall over. So this tree needs to be took care of pretty quickly. Both sides need to be removed. I normally don't say that, but the other side's got its own set of problems also. So just don't let your tree get that bad a shape. But if it does, don't hesitate. Go ahead and get it out. Go ahead and get it out of there, because you don't want it to hurt someone or cause a lot of damage. But that's one that we can't do any good for. We're out here by the maintenance building at Lake Ferguson State Park, and here with me is Billy Williams. And Billy, why don't you tell our viewers what's unusual about this tree here?
Okay, we have two different trees here that's growing together here. We have an elm on this side and an oak on this side. It's always been a little peculiar to me how they grew together in two different trees there.
Right, they coexisted very efficiently right here next to your building. And how long have you been with the state park here?
I've been with the state park for 23 years.
So you've been watching this tree for 23
years.
Oh, okay. So it is kind of your family tree, kind of. You took it under your arm, I'm sure. Both of these trees appear to be pretty healthy, and they're growing within a couple of foot of this concrete pad too.
Yes, they are. We poured this concrete after the fact of this. We was thinking maybe the roots and stuff may break it up, but it haven't so far. So we're still in good shape as far as that goes.
Right. Well, I appreciate you taking a minute and showing the tree. Now, you got a lot of different unusual trees around the park and things for people to look at out here too if they come out.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Nice dogwood lane, touring area that they can walk and see different type of trees, and we have signs out that they can look and identify the trees. So yes, we do.
That is great. And another thing, I asked Billy before we started filming about the fishing, and they've been pulling some 50, 60, and 65-pound flatheads out of this lake. I did not know that. So any of you fishermen might want to keep that in mind.
There you go. Come out. Just remember, they have to share them with me, though.
That's all right. Well, thank you, Billy.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
I'm here in Jonesboro at NEA Clinic on Matthews. A little over a year ago, they had me treat these and all these other trees on the property. They're starting to get an insect problem, and they just wanted to keep them healthy because they had, needless to say, they had built this magnificent structure behind me, and just to keep this big tree. So that's what we did. We shut it, used the soil drainage method, took care of the insects, and as well as giving it vitamins, minerals, and nutrients to make it look better in the future. And you can tell the way it's holding its leaves this year and the way it's doing, and it really took well. And it's been well over a year. And so this tree's still going right on. So next time you're in downtown Jonesboro, just take a look at the trees around the NEA Clinic. I'm here in Newport with Kenny Thaxton, and Kenny, why don't you tell me what made you trim on this dogwood like you did?
Well, I read in the newspaper in Janet Carson's that when you have dead limbs on a dogwood, just trim them off, but this one just kept dying, and I'd trimmed this side, and then this side started dying, so I knew there was something else wrong with it, just besides just a few limbs dying. That's why I called you.
Right, and Kenny called us in, and we treated this dogwood as well as the other two he's got. He's got had a borer problem going on with the dogwood, as well as a nematode that's working on the mycorrhizal roots. That's a little worm. A nematode's a little worm that will eat your hair-like roots of a plant. And it's not necessarily a tree. It can be a rose bush. It can be just any kind of bush, as well as the stress from this summer, it being dry. But stress alone is not going to put a tree in a situation this is. It took a combination of 3 or 4 things, and treated it with a multitude of chemicals that will take care of that, as well as the dogwood borer. And how long did it take to get in this condition, Kenny?
Just this one summer that I really noticed it. I mean, you can tell this by looking at this one and looking at how thick that dogwood is over there. And it just kept on and on. I just really didn't know what to do.
Right, and this should correct it, and what you should see is some new growth appear here. If this leader goes on and dies, like it looks like it's might near dead now anyway, the new growth will come out here. That's come from the vitamins and the minerals and the enzymes that we put around it. But we'll visit back with him in one of these coming segments, and we'll show this clip and show just how much branches can be put on a tree.
Yeah, well, I think it'll be good.
Well, thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, sir.
I'll give you a tip how to keep the squirrels out of your trees. they become a problem sometimes, especially if it's a nut tree. You can get you a piece of flashing, which is thin metal, slick metal, and just wrap it right around the trunk. The squirrel can't scamper up past it because it can't get his claws in it. And just be sure that the tree that you're putting this flashing around is not accessible from a house or from another tree by it. If it is, you're going to have to do maybe 3 or 4 trees if they can get in another tree to get to that one. But by putting that flashing about 3 or 4 foot up and about a 2 foot section around it, you'll keep them squirrels from being able to go up your tree, and you can keep them out of it. That way you can have your tree and the squirrels can go off to another tree. I'm here in Jonesboro with Janine Wood, and Janine, why don't you tell our viewers what you emailed me and asked me about your tree here.
Well, I've been in this home for about a year, and I had some tree trimmers come. Obviously there was some dead branches on this tree and my big granddaddy tree over there, and so I brought them out and they cut the dead branches off of the trees, and then they came to this one, and there were dead branches on one side, and the tree trimmer had the belief that it was due to the fact that in the building up of the lot in preparation for the construction, that the dirt had been placed above the initial growth line, and according to him that's the kiss of death for a tree, and that broke my heart. So he didn't really cut any branches at all because he truly believed it was probably the tree would have to go. So before I called the mortician, I thought I'd call the doctor. I found his website and emailed him and told him my concerns for it, and I was hoping the tree could be saved, and that's why I called you.
Yes, ma'am, and like what I told Miss Wood is that it had a little bit of death on one side of limbs because of the dirt, but the rest of the tree can be saved, and it can eventually fill out because what we put in there and shoot around it enhances new growth. But the wood lot, the built up from the home, it probably added a foot or better on that wooden side. Wouldn't you think, Miss Wood?
I think so, and I was so glad to hear the diagnosis, because one of the things that attracted me to this lot and this subdivision particularly is the mature growth, which is a huge factor for me because I come from a long line of tree huggers, and I love looking out of my window and looking up and seeing trees instead of having to look down at some saplings that you plant, and it takes a long time. As you said, it takes a long time to get one this big, and I'm really glad I got something done about it. Just glad to hear the diagnosis.
Yes, ma'am, and Miss Wood's got an enormous big tree in the back here, and we're going to take it up there, and we're going to talk about that big old tree.
Okay.
We moved around the back of the property here with Miss Woods, and this is just an old enormous tree, isn't it?
It is huge. As a matter of fact, when I was looking at the lot, obviously when there was very little house, this tree was the overpowering structure here, and I've asked several people, and some have said anywhere from 100 to 150 years old, and it's at the corner of a series of cemeteries, and usually when a cemetery is involved there's a lot of mature trees, and this is one of them. And I sure wanted, there were some huge big dead branches on this, and the tree trimmers that I had come out got involved in that and got some really big branches off. But there's a story that goes with that, and one that they left a little jagged. They got involved with some bees, and I think they made a quick exit, made a little jagged cut.
Right, that concerned me when Miss Wood had me look at it, and that's when she found out from her son that they'd encountered them bees up there cutting on it. This has got a big old vine, and I told Miss Wood this needs to be cut and pulled back, but what I think is so unusual is that the beetles and the borers, the vine is so big is working on the vine also.
Yeah, we got a huge, huge vine that goes all the way up, and it's borers in it, just like in the tree. And like I said, when I had my tree trimmers out here, they weren't too concerned about this. I think they think it's weathered 150 years. They didn't have much doubt about this one, even though it had the big dead branches. And I had to have those taken off just for pure safety's sake. But I'm glad to see this grandpa's going to be around a while.
Right, Miss Wood had me treated, and at some point in time here, within the last couple of years, someone had a fire here and burnt this side, and that had caused more damage than anything. but by treating it, we're going to get it back on the road to recovery, and hopefully when you get this all cleaned up, we can stop back by and talk to you, and everything will be doing well, Miss Wood.
Okay, I'm so excited to have my trees saved. Like I said, this is a big plus for me, and it's part of my family now, so I'm glad to get it taken care of.
I got two other questions for you before we stop. Where'd you move here from, and what do you do now?
Oh, I moved from Marianna. I'd lived in Marianna, Arkansas about 25 years, where I taught school at Palestine Wheatley for about 20 years. And I'm at Walnut Ridge now at Northeast Arkansas Educational Cooperative, and I'm a distance learning coordinator there. And I've been there since July and been in this home since November. And I lived in Jonesboro before, some years back, straight out of college, and I love Jonesboro. I'm glad to be back.
We're glad to have you back. Thank you, Miss Wood.
Glad to be here.
You know, a lot of people now are planting a Leland cypress. They're a good-looking tree. They grow fast. But we're starting to have some trouble out of them. You can see here the bleeding on the trunk. The rosin is running down where the bark beetle has penetrated it. If you let that continue, then they'll kill the tree. So you need to watch out for that on your Leland cypress. Other than that, they're pretty resilient tree and make a good tree line. Just remember to watch out on the trunk for the bleeding, and take corrective actions, do some spraying, and keep them from getting in there. They're young trees and they deserve that extra little bit of attention. If you can't handle it, call us. We can be glad to handle it for you. But Leland cypress, other than that, it's a good tree. I'm here in Newport here with me is Ed Cooley, and Ed, won't you tell the viewers what you're doing every Sunday morning at 6 o'clock?
Well, I get up out of that bed there and I flip that channel 8 on in Jonesboro there, and I watch the Tree Doctors.
Well, we appreciate it, Ed.
Welcome, sir. It's a fine show.
Thank you. You know, some trees have insect problems. Some just have construction damage. Well, we can handle them both generally at the same time. I'm using a soil injection here, building a mold of chemicals all around the root ball. It gets translocated into the crown of the tree. It has a very long residual. Stays working for a year or better, killing insects as well as growing new feeder roots and increasing the canopy of the tree. 9 different chemicals is going in this at once. So there's so much we can do that we used to couldn't do, and in most cases it's cheaper than it used to be. And just name me just any one thing that's come down in price. Well, taking care of your trees have come down in price. Give us a call. You'll be surprised. We're the Tree Doctor, Dickey Tree Service, in your Yellow Pages under trees.
Well, that's all the time we have for Tree Doctors today. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, if you need to get in touch with Ed, it's pretty simple. You can go to dickeytree.com or call the number below. Tree Doctors is on KAIT every Saturday and Sunday at 6 o'clock, so don't miss us. We'll see you next time on Tree Doctors.